Obviously, this is the start of a new year, literally and figuratively. It, uh, it, we've got a lot of guys back that were part of the 16 team that accomplished some improvement in major areas. And we got instilled in a group of guys in that 16 team, relentless effort, pursuit to the ball, be good tacklers and play with physicality and they played very good as a unit. Now, that's where we go. People say that every team's different, and that's not just something that somebody throws out there lightly. It truly is different. And yes, you do have components of last year that are back. That gives them experience. And a lot of that experience last year was good experience. But at the end of the day, we have started all over. In fact, as a defensive staff, Rodney, Greg, Travis, myself, we literally took the template of what we were doing this time last year, what we said in the meetings, how we talked to them, the way we installed it, the simplicity of the installation, and started at ground zero, as if we had never coached together, we had never coached these guys. Simply because we've got to build this thing as if it hadn't existed. And now, there's some good to that in that we've got some guys that were part of that 16 team, so there's carryover. And, we've got some guys up front, and people say, let's just get this off the table right now. Let's make sure we all on the same page on this. Let's be real. If everybody says, well, how are you going to replace Carl Lawson and Montravius Adams? All right. Well, if we're just figuring that out right now, and that wasn't figured out 2 or 3 years ago in recruiting and last year in coaching, and we just waited till now to answer that question, we got problems. So you're always thinking 2, 3, 4 years ahead. In this business, you've got to be from the way you recruit, the way you coach, the way you rep out practice, because we don't sign contracts here as players. You can't keep them 6, 7 years. You know the day you get them, that some of them are going to be gone in 3 years, some of them are going to be gone in 4, some of them are going to be gone in 5, but they're all going to be gone. So you better replace them, and you better have somebody ready. I guess probably the biggest thing is that we are not having to focus as much on, even though we are doing it as coaches verbally, is that the leadership with the Stephen Roberts, the Trey Matthews, the Trey Williams, the Darrell Williams, Dontavius, even Jeff Holland, those guys, we've got leadership, so there's certain things, there's a lot of leadership taking place without us having to press that. The first 2 days, we're in shorts. We don't play football in shorts, but we do occasionally practice it in shorts. As a defensive coach, that's you can work on alignment, assignment, communication, and that's body position, hand placement, but the physicality of it, which is what makes defense, is non-existent. And so we did get those things accomplished in the first 2 days with a lot of energy and a lot of focus, but obviously we will put the pads on and see more Saturday. With that,
Kevin, you mentioned Jeff Holland as one of those guys kind of stepping up a leadership role. How different is he this spring than the guy he was last year?
Well, I think the first thing that he would tell you, not us, although I'll say it for him, is that he's done a great job in the offseason in the weight room. He's kind of remade his body, and we kid him about that. He's pretty proud of it. And so if you see him, kind of point that out to him. He really has. He's stronger. He's got more muscle mass, which helps him in his power. But he's got a lot of confidence right now. He knows what he's doing. He's not having to think, and that helps. I was taken back. I didn't think about it, but the first meeting, we came out of the first meeting, and we kind of started over, and somebody made a statement that, boy, this is going to be fun spring practice. Everything's the same as it was last spring, which realize there's been a lot of change.
Who else is in that mix? Kevin, we saw Trey Three out there a little bit on Tuesday.
Yeah, Trey is a guy we moved from linebacker to there, 3. Then we've got Nick Coe, we got Jeff, Paul James, those guys right
Was
now.
Nick able to go? We saw him a little bit hampered early on Tuesday. Was he able to-
Who's that?
Nick Coe.
He's still a little bit, but, the good thing about Nick, because of the limited, people don't realize this, we never mentioned it last year because it would have been, but Nick practiced with us. And so he practiced the game plan every week as if he was playing. He basically got 70% of all the 2 reps, and we rolled Carl and Jeff with the 1s, and then gave Jeff about 30% of the 2s, but Nick got about 70% of every game plan Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and he wouldn't play it. So he's been through it.
Having him and Paul, 2 guys that are like 270, how much does that add at the position, having some guys with bigger bodies like that?
Well, there's a reason that they fight featherweight and heavyweight. There's a difference in what takes place in that. And so, those guys in the SEC are big guys over there. So if it's good body mass, it helps, particularly when you can move like those guys can in space.
What went into the decision to move the Trey Threat down there?
Well, I think the biggest thing was that, at linebacker, it's not to say that he won't play some linebacker, but what has happened in this league is about, 75% of your snaps are played in nickel or dime. And so we have a 3 linebacker scheme, and we rep 3 linebackers, but then when you get into game planning and practicing, then it's cut down to 2 linebackers and sometimes even 1. So just in terms of being able to play 2 positions will help him. He played it in high school, so it's kind of natural to him, and it just gives him ability rather than when we go nickel, well, now that's 1 less linebacker on the field, so that's somebody's not getting reps, and it just allows us to get more diversity in our group. And plus, the buck does drop some now, and it also, we play some 3-4, and when you've got a guy that has dropped and understands dropping, it's a whole lot easier to do.
What's your plan with Byron Coward, playing it inside or outside, and what has he done in the offseason to kind of get ready for any years?
Well, he appears to have gotten a little bit thicker, but the plan is, he's concentrating on inside right now. He's had a lot of reps outside, and so that's kind of where our focus is right now. That's not to say in fall camp. We're going to keep things really, really simple and try to keep people in constant, not do a lot of moving around in the spring. But for those guys that are going to cross-train, we will get a couple snaps here and there. But in the fall camp, then there'll be more of it, obviously, when you start talking about game planning and that kind of stuff. So, but right now, he's just going to be in the 3.
When you sit down with him and just talk about expectations for him, what are you guys kind of foreseeing for him going into his junior year?
Well, I think the big thing is just do your job. That's every one of them. Do your job. We're going to give you a task. Do your job. And so with that, being said, is that every one of them is required to do that and master your task. And so if they do that, then it's easy to move guys around. But and then at the end of the day, production is, and we're not specifically talking about one guy. You asked about one guy, but it's all of them. It's just produce. At the end of the day, we all got a job to do, and production is part of that. So produce.
Coach, who are you looking at the nickel position so far this spring?
Well, I think probably Denson, Daniel Thomas, Sherwood, and we have the ability to take, JD can go in there too. Right now, the problem is with Dean out, we're still limited on rotation. So we've got some different guys we can get in there, but Denson's looked really good at star.
What about that fourth safety? Because we saw Sherwood back there. You have 3 seniors in the safety group, but with Boston out,
Yeah.
you're pretty thin. So is Sherwood the fourth safety as well?
Yes, he is. We're very thin there. Very, very thin.
You have some guys coming in, Kevin, obviously in the summer, but until then, he is a former walk-on was taking a lot of practice reps, quite frankly. Did you see
Yeah.
a lot calling upon him in a spot?
Well, he could. He's a smart football player. He loves to practice. I mean, you could grab him, throw him in there, buck, he'd go do it. I mean, that's just the kind of guy he is. He's our utility guy. When he gets to a point where, somebody like today, somebody got dinged out there today with something. It wasn't bad, but it had a little limp, and they had, a trainer grabbed them. You don't even, when you turn around, you just grab Sherwood, drive him back. It didn't matter what position, just grab him and throw it. Now, not defensive line, but just, hey, go play corner, go play start, go play safety. And he'll go out there, communicate. He knows he's a very smart football player. And so, and Marlon character fits in that category right now, what we're talking about of guys like Trey, like Byron, where right now Marlon is at corner. But Marlon could go to safety. Dean gets back healthy, Dennison's healthy, Denson's healthy, and JD and CD are healthy, then we're good to maybe put character back at safety.
With Denson, tearing 3 ligaments in his knee and messing up his shoulder, that could have ended his career, but what have you guys seen from him and being able to come back from that and be able to compete as well?
Well, I never saw him before. I saw him in high school, but I never saw him here before. Other than I watched a little bit of tape, I guess, when I first got the job on it. He's got a tremendous skill set. I really can't, at this point in time, now back in the season, I couldn't say this, but right now, I can't tell he's ever been hurt. Now, he can run. He can run fast. And he's really, really smart.
What is Greg Brown just brought to your staff? You wanted a veteran guy there with Wesley leading, so what has Greg brought to the table?
Well, I think the biggest thing was the transition was so easy because terminology-wise, we're on the same page. So there was no training going on. We didn't have to go in there and spend, a week with just me and him in a room. Okay, this is how we do this. This is how we do that. This is what we call this. This is what we call that. This is the alignment of this. This is the alignment of that. That takes some time. He has been in this system. The verbiage is the same. The adjustments are the same. He understands that. And then he is a guy that has coached the technique of those positions at a high level for a long time. So it transitions easy on the grass. It was just a good fit. I think that's the biggest thing.
Kevin, you talked about not kind of starting over, to bring them back to square one again, but you mentioned also these guys in the same system again for the second time in the spring. As a coach, how important is that for these guys that they're walking into something they're comfortable with?
Well, it's important, but we're not looking at it like that. I wake up every day and come in here like this is the first time that we've coached this. And I know it's probably those guys go in a meeting probably, and that's a good thing, and sit there and go, wow, are we really going to go over every minute detail of this again? But there's somebody in that room that doesn't know that. And those are the ones that we got to get up there. And that's the only way to get them up there.
Kevin, you mentioned going from a 4-3 look to a 3-4 look sometimes. Is Derek Brown a guy that can transition either way you want to go?
Yeah.
Play the nose at 3-4 and then maybe even be outside at 4-3?
Yeah, he can. He can play the 6 technique. He can play the 3 technique. He can play the nose.
So from you and Rodney's perspective,
He could probably play
how much-
right guard, right tackle, maybe couldn't center if he can snap it.
How much easier does it just make that, just kind of knowing I got a guy in number 5 that can do whatever I ask him to do?
Well, I know, yeah, it's a key piece because, he's a very, very talented young man. He's very athletic. He's smart. He's got a tremendous amount of pride and work ethic. And it's when you can command double teams inside, when you can play a zero or head up and 2 gap guys, that's it's talked about often, but there's rare people that can, that do that every day. But then the other thing that's kind of fun to watch is, you put him at 6 technique and, he lines up on a tight end and you see a little different expression in the, whoa, you've been guys been putting 4 and 55 and now you put both of them here at the same time, he's a big man.
What has Trey Madden said standpoint, he's already kind of achieved what he was looking for. From an academic standpoint, he's graduated, so
Right.
on the field, what are you looking for?
In terms of what does he need to improve on?
Yeah.
Everything. Everything. And that's what we've told every one of them. You know, we have not arrived, none of us. He does some things well, and other things he does really well. But we got to take everything to another level, technique-wise, eyes, tackling, ball skills, those kind of things. I mean, because number one, it helps us. Number two, it helps those guys who have aspirations of advancing their career. And so I'm not trying to be funny by saying that. I mean, we sit down, I sit down with every defensive player, every single one of them, went over the things that they did well very quickly, because everybody tells them what they do good, and they know what they do good. And then we went over the laundry list of the things that we've got to improve with every single player, and then went to work on it.
Kevin, can you talk about Keyshawn Manning, what you hope to see from him this spring?
Well, you know, that's an amazing story itself. In fact, we did a little, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do a little, I guess you'd say life lesson. You know, yesterday's life lesson was in terms of just, you know, being focused and be grateful for what you have. And so one of the questions we asked them was, you know, how many guys had a hard day in here today? And we were, you know, it's family, so, you know, hard day, even some coaches, you know. And then we brought Manning up there and said, how was your day yesterday? Big smile came on his face. He said, I had a blast, Coach. And went on and told the story. Well, there were some guys in the room, I'm not sure that they really had put two and two together. Oh, that's you. I mean, to be diagnosed with leukemia, cancer, have radiation treatment, and maybe never be able to think you're never going to be able to play again, and then to be back doing it, it's kind of a neat thing. And I mean, he's got a skill set now. He can help us. Boy, and the good thing about it is he sure is happy to be out there.
I know you say Marlon character can play, you know, all over the secondary there, but how thin it is at safety, why start him at off the cornerback this spring?
Because thin is not without, okay? And at corner, that's a hard skill set out there. You're on the island. And so to take a safety, okay, you go play safety. Oh, well, Dean is not back full. We don't know it. Denson's leg, and maybe he's playing star, and now JD or CD go down. I can't play it. You know, so let's get him trained up early. And, you know, it's an easier transition from corner to safety than it is from safety to corner. It's a hard transition.
How do you think Thomas do, the two games that he got to start last year, how do you think that competition is going to shake out between him and Jeremiah Denson?
It's going to be fun, and that's what we're trying to do, create competition at every position. We're trying to create competition at every position. And, you know, we got those guys like Chandler Wooten out there that, I mean, he's a smart guy, and he's made some plays already the first 2 days. It doesn't look like a freshman that should be getting ready for his prime. And so we're creating some competition which will make us better.